What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I am James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and here we are here to talk about something that I think is going to be a lightning rod for a lot of folks. Certainly, it has been for about the inception of the Baltimore Ravens, and that is the wide receiver group. Everyone going into but really quickly before we do. If you're new here to the channel, we talk Ravens, and more Ravens. And according to Lamar Jackson, we're the best in the business. So I would recommend subscribing if you haven't. Take a second, hit the button, turn on your notifications, and make sure you give us a like and leave all your comments below. But Glenn, This is what I want to talk about. I'm going to kind of set the scene here. The Baltimore Ravens, of course, traded Marquise Brown to get the pick to go up to get Linderbaum. Last year, Marquise Brown, 145 targets. So 145 targets were up for grab this season coming in. Rashad Bateman has kind of stepped into the role as the emerging number one, Devin Duvernay number two, and then it's kind of hodgepodge behind them, James Prochet and a few other guys. The question has always been a few things. One, can Bateman do it? Two, what happens if Bateman goes down with the group that we have? There's no real resident veteran in the room or anything like that. So Bateman is down. And I know Coach said he could have practiced and this, that, and the other, but not only is Bateman down, Duvernay's been out for a week.
Yeah.
So technically speaking, our 1 and our 2 are not in practice right now. That's really been the question. What happens if he goes down? Then what? Right. So I kind of want to gauge your level of concern at this point when it comes to the wide receiver group and talk about whether we should start shopping around and what our options are. Get all your thoughts there. So, from the outset, what are you thinking about these two injuries when it comes to Bateman and Duvernay? How concerned about them are you?
Yeah. So, I think that you're right in that an injury to Bateman, I think, is a lot of people's kind of worst nightmare because there's so much pressure on him and there's so much expectations for him to grab a hold of that number one job and really run with it. Considering how much time he missed and the situation at quarterback, he had really a fantastic rookie year. So there's so much expectation on this guy, and he seems to be embracing it and really taking on that challenge. But now he's hurt, and while Harbaugh is minimizing the injuries and saying he could have went, he's still not out there. And we saw a practice where Lamar Jackson, without those two guys, was pretty limited on the outside when going up against the first team defense. And that's kind of the scare. That's what we're all worried about. Like, what if this happens in week 3? What if this happens in week 5? So while it's not the biggest deal to happen in week 2 of training camp, this is kind of a peek into the future of what would this look like if this happened in week 5? That's the scary part. So can they rely on Tylan Wallace and Jalen Moore and who's the guy? James Prochet. Now it seems like Prochet's stepped up and he's made some big time plays. He had the 75-yard touchdown from Lamar amongst others. But I have my doubts. So I look at the available free agents currently out there, and of course the big name being tied to the Ravens is of course Odell Beckham. He's currently the top rated remaining free agent at any position, much less wide receiver, narrowly edging out Antonio Brown, who I know you would welcome with open arms. But
wait, what?
He's but hilarious. Odell Beckham is 29 years old, which it sounds crazy. Like we're getting old, Jimbo, because it just doesn't seem right that Odell Beckham is pushing 30, but he certainly is. And he's coming off a season-ending injury that happened in the Super Bowl. So even if they did bring in an Odell Beckham Jr., he's not going to be ready anytime soon. So I'm not sure how much help he brings to the room versus the potential distraction if he's unhappy in similar ways to the way Marquise Brown was. So what's your thoughts on them kicking the tires on what Odell Beckham could bring to the team?
Yeah, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but actually, I'm not concerned about him from a personality standpoint.
Okay.
I'm not. I can't believe that I'm about to say that I think Odell Beckham has turned a corner. I think the Rams helped him do that. I think winning a Super Bowl helped him do that. I think having a child helped him do that as well. I think, when things change in people's lives, priorities also change, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know how much he is about, not that, I mean, he's still Odell. Don't get me wrong. Like, he still lives on the Odell Beckham spectrum, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But certainly I feel like it's moved a little bit in that I would be okay with him from a personality standpoint coming in and being a leader, being a contributor. But the concern is, like you said, when can he actually play, right? You're talking
Yeah.
February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months off of an ACL, which that's 2 surgeries and what? On the
Handful of
same
years.
knee,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to have Odell Beckham Jr. next year,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't know how much we can get out of him this year. So that has, so that kind of scratches him off the list for me.
Well, let me give you a couple other names, Jimbo, to
Yeah.
see, and you let me know kind of rapid fire what your thoughts
Mhm.
are. Another guy who could certainly bring some deep threat to this team is Will Fuller. He's only 28 years old as of this upcoming September. Had some injury issues throughout his career, but no doubt when he's on the field, he is one of the best deep threats in all of football. What's your thoughts on
Mhm.
Will Fuller?
I like it at the right number. He's
Okay.
a Ferrari for sure. He's hard to keep on the field, right? But he's highly productive when he's out there. So I like it for the right number.
Okay. How about Cole Beasley? He'll be 33, kind of a slot guy, but certainly a chain mover and a reliable target. What's your thoughts on Cole?
Nah, too much redundancy there.
Okay. Yeah, we got quite a few Cole Beasleys currently on the
Yeah, you know
roster.
what I mean?
Now, there's a couple veterans that are
All
also out
right.
looking for work. One has already turned down the Ravens previous years, T.Y. Hilton, and then
Now,
Emmanuel. Okay, no on T.Y. And then Emmanuel Sanders, the route running god. What do you think about him?
yes, love him. I wanted him last year. I think he'd be a great fit here as well. I think that one of the things about Emmanuel is that I think he would really help Lamar Jackson in that he would be able to articulate what he's doing in a way that would make Lamar feel very comfortable with his ability to be dependable, right? Be where he's going to be when he
Mhm.
says he's going to be there. And to me, he would be equivalent, maybe not production, but the way that Joe felt about Anquan Bolden, in that he could, feel safe around, just chucking the ball up type thing. He could have confidence that they had an opportunity if the ball was in the air type situation. Not saying the production would be the same because Anquan was younger and, in his prime at that point. But, I would say that they can have that type of relationship where he can really trust him. And I think Lamar needs that right now. But this is my question to you, Glenn. I want to
Mhm.
get your take on Emmanuel as well and Will Fuller. But do we need to shop?
Well, I think you don't necessarily need to right now because we're upcoming week 3 of training camp, and these guys, Harbaugh did kind of put some worry to bed when he said that Duvernay could have probably practiced the
Mm-hmm.
last 2 days, and he's just being extra cautious and keeping him out. But if in this, let's say they're out for another 2 practices, let's
Mm-hmm.
hypothetically, Bateman and Duvernay missed an extra 2, and then they're back for the third, and they're back from then on. If these next 2 days expose a massive weakness behind those 2 guys, in that Prochet and Jalen Moore and Tylan Wallace aren't able to step up in an adequate level. If they're not able to show the coaches, like, look, if something happens to those 2 guys in week 6 and it's down to us guys, we got you, coach. We can do this. We can go out, move the change, move the chains. We can score touchdowns. We can make whatever needs to be done. If they can't show they can do that in training camp, then
Mm-hmm.
I think the coaches need to start looking around and going, we need to have a contingency plan in case this were to happen during the season. So while I don't think it's a need now, let's see how these young guys perform, because what I saw out of the first practice, missing both of those guys, the reports are that the outside guys struggled a bit, certainly in the red zone, that most of the targets that were completed for touchdowns were not. I think only one. I think it was to Tylan Wallace was the only touchdown to a wide receiver, and the remaining were all to tight ends or the running back out of the backfield. So if they're not getting wins from the outside guy, now that could just be the design of the offense, right? In fairness to the offense, it could just be, look, in the red zone, we're going to target one of these big tight ends because that's why they're here. But if that becomes a weakness where the coaches go, wow, man, when those two guys are out, these outside guys just can't beat our guys in training camp. So how can we trust them to beat other guys during the season? That's a wait and see process to me, Jimbo.
I understand what you're saying. My thing is, I wonder which one of these guys they have on speed dial, because while I agree, it is a wait and see. Well, I actually don't agree. Let me back that up, because I don't want to get in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be in the scenario where we have to find that out. You know what I mean? Like I want to be there and know we have a contingency before we get in the situation where Lamar Jackson is dropping back and he's got Tylan Wallace on his right and he's got James Prochet on his left and he's doing one of these like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I want him. Obviously, he'll always have Mark, and we'll see how likely steps up and how confident Lamar feels in him. And there could always be a wild card guy, but
or Prochet and Tylan could take, advantage of these extra snaps and show Lamar we got you if this case, comes up during the season, right?
Yeah.
You don't seem very confident in that one.
I don't know, man. Like I do get concerned. I get concerned because we haven't seen so much.
But what about this, Jimbo? What if they do just say, you know what, we need to bring in some extra help, and then Duvernay and Bateman come back, and not only do they come back now, but they stay healthy for the remainder of camp and into the season? Who are you going to get rid of because you just brought in a vet? And we talked about them possibly going light in this room. So then who are you going to cut?
A serious problem.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me you're not panicking, because I don't know that. I don't know
not yet.
Question. No, you're not panicking. I'm
not yet.
This morning I woke up in a cold sweat.
Oh no.
I was panicking this morning thinking about that image of Lamar. Where's Mark? You know what I mean? Instead of saying Omaha, he's like 89.
Yeah.
I need your help. You know, like what else? What else can you do? I am a little concerned, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's a little premature. Maybe I shouldn't be concerned. But it's really going to be interesting to see what other people think as well, because this is certainly a lightning rod. Because you're right. Like, tell me how you feel about Emmanuel and Will Fuller, and then we'll kind of wrap this thing up. But what's your take on those two?
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel, the only concern I have with him is, of course, his age. I mean, he's an older guy. He's I think, let's see, he's
37.
No, I don't think he's quite there, but I think he's 35.
Okay.
So he's not. He's no spring chicken. He's got a lot of miles on those legs. So I just wonder how much he's got left. And if he's really the kind of the missing piece in this offense. To me, they're missing, someone who can kind of stretch the field a little bit. And I don't think Emmanuel at this point in his career is able to do that. I do think Will Fuller's able to do that. Obvious concern with him is that he's missed about half the games he's been expected to play in his career. So if I had to choose between the two, I'd go with Will Fuller, because I think he potentially fills the need that we have. Whereas I don't really see. I think Emmanuel Sanders might be an upgrade from some of the young guys from a skill, but from a skill standpoint. But at the same point, at 35 years old, I'm not sure if he's got a whole ton left in the tank, and I'd rather kind of just run with one of the young guys if you think that it's a pretty close gap between the two, and let's see if that young guy can, kind of improve his game past where he is at this point. And
fingers crossed, my friend.
Yeah, but to me, it's not a great list when you look at free agency, available free agency.
Yeah. It's like,
and
then
so,
what do you do?
Yeah, so it might end up being a trade or a late camp cut from another team that has a bunch of young guys that they like, and they have an expendable veteran that's costing them a little bit too much. That could be the route, but man, it's just I don't see anybody willing to give up a great, a very good veteran receiver, because you need those guys. So man, this is a tough position. If those guys can't come back and get back healthy and kind of hit the ground running and have no more setbacks or other injuries, it just exposes how thin they are at the position, and the I just hope that they're prepared for the what if.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Let us know what you guys think. It's going to be really interesting to see. It sounds like I'm a little more concerned than Glenn at this point. He's still in kind of wait and see mode to see if these guys get back, stay healthy. I'm starting some conversations maybe with
Are you
Emmanuel's
posting
agent
flyers on
and help
trees?
wanted. That anything you got to do to get the right guy in here. But let us know your guys' thoughts. Leave all your comments below, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you.